Hi everyone joining us from wherever you are. We're very excited for you to be joining us for our webinar on the online experiences and young people's well-being. Today we have an amazing list of panelists who are going to be sharing with us and giving us the teas as young people. We want to be online, we want to explore a lot of things, but also we want to be sure that we're doing the right things or if there are risks and opportunities. So today I'm going to be your host, your chair, and I want us to have a conversation. I want us to ask questions in the chat and also listen for our panelists, what they're going to say. I'm going to ask everyone to introduce themselves by name, organization, and where you're joining us from in the chat. And if you could also share with us your favorite emoji, we'll be happy to see it. And also, probably we might react to it or not. But we want everyone to feel comfortable, to learn from this, and also share it with your friends. It's going to be on our YouTube at GMHAN. And also, I want to share that we're going to be launching the GMHAN's Need to Know guide containing everything, the latest evidence on online experiences and young people's well-being. So if you want to learn from it, if you want to see what is now out there, what are some of the thoughts that people are putting together and evidences that guide our participation online, please look out for it. There's going to be a link that is going to be spread. So please feel free to always connect. Um, so I'm going to ask all the participants to introduce yourselves again, your name, your organization, and where you're joining us from, and your favorite emoji. Don't forget the emoji because we love to see it. And I'm also going to ask my panelists to introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about themselves. I know they're very cool people. They're going to be telling us everything that we need to know. And also along the way, we're going to be joined by another panelist who will also introduce themselves once they join. So in no particular order, who wants to start?
I'm happy to start. Hello, everybody.
Yay.
It's great to be with you all. A real honor to be on this panel, um, and yeah, to be joining you on this really important issue. I'm Paddy from the United Kingdom, from an organisation called FlipGen, and we're a youth-led digital wellbeing organisation. So, all about empowering young people to use their experiences to make the digital world a safer place for future generation. So FlipGen stands for flipping the script for the next generation. It's all about using, yeah, we're led by young people and using their experiences for the next generation. Shall I say my favorite emoji as well? I think
Yeah,
probably my
you
favorite
should.
emoji, maybe like the one that I use the most is probably the just the normal one with the sunglasses, the cool one.
Okay. Um, that's cool. Karen, yeah.
So, hello everybody. It's so nice to be here today. I'm Karen Scavassini. I'm psychologist and the founder of Instituto Vitaleri in Brazil. And we work with suicide prevention, mental health promotion, education, and digital environments. I'm also part of Vertentes. That is a Brazilian mental health ecosystem that brings different organizations together to strengthen a culture of mental health care in the country. And much of my work today sits on the intersection of mental health, young people, and technology. So we work directly with young people, creators, platforms, and mental health professionals. So I tend to look at digital well-being from both clinical and a public health perspective. And I would like to thank the Global Mental Health Action Network for the invitation and for all of you to be here today joining us for this very important topic. Thank you very much. Oh, my favorite, I love emojis. Emojis and memes and I think I use a lot that one that it's like laughing with tears because makes me happy. And yeah, thank you very much and welcome everybody.
Great. And also to introduce myself, my name is Donzen Mwanguzi, joining in from Uganda. And I'm also from Awesome Mind Speaks. I'm the co-chair for the Child and Youth Working Group at the Global Mental Health Action Network. If all of you want to join our working group, please check the links for gman.org, and then you can be able to join the link. My favorite emoji is like that face that does like this. So I don't know how it's called. But I want us to go now dive deep into it. And I think I'm going to start with Karen. See, young people are increasing turning to online communities and influencers and AI tools for emotional and mental health questions and support. I'm wondering, how should we think about the opportunities and the risks this pose towards the young people?
So I think the starting point is to recognize that young people are already using these spaces as part of how they seek information, how they seek connection and support. And this is not happening like in a vacuum. In many countries, especially where they are significant social and economic inequalities, digital environments are also filling gaps that families and public systems cannot always fill. And parents themselves increasingly turn to digital platforms for information, for support in raising their children, especially when professional guidance, educational resources, or community support are difficult to access. And the same happens with mental health. Cost, long waiting lists, geographical barriers, shortage of specialized professionals, and difficulties accessing services can all push people online. And of course, stigma and prejudice also play an important role here because sometimes searching anonymously, following like a creator or joining an online community, or even talking with with a AI tool feels safer than telling someone that it's that someone is struggling with something. So I truly believe there are real opportunities because online communities can reduce isolation and creating belonging. And creators can translate mental health information into language that feels more accessible and relevant. And AI can offer immediately information, help someone to organize in their thoughts, or perhaps be a first step towards recognizing that they need some support. But accessibility is not the same of quality or safety, because personal experience can be presented as expertise, for example, and harmful behaviors can be normalized within communities. Algorithms can amplify content related to persons' vulnerabilities, and AI can sound confident, can sound empathic. I believe that all of us, we had this same experience that AI says that, oh, you have a good ideas, you are like very, very nice and
Yeah,
good.
very.
And without actually understanding context, clinical risk, or the consequences of advice that it provides. So I think the question is whether young people should seek support online. They already are doing that. And for some people, the digital environment may be the only form of support they can access that moment. So just finishing, it's very important that we make those environments safer. We need to improve the quality of the information available, and we need to create bridges from digital support to appropriate human support when it needed.
That's so powerful, Karen. Thank you so much. And you've really talked about very good, strong points, especially around opportunities. We're seeing a big growing economy in jobs and the gig economy, where a lot of young people are getting jobs and they're using it for work. But also, we're seeing there is a lot of bullying and stigma that happens and self-diagnosing online. So you're really hinting on key, very important things that we need to have the conversation going on. If any of my panelists say something you agree with or you encourage, please send us a thumbs up, send us your favorite emoji. We want to collect more emojis, more emojis. And now I'm going to go to Paddy to also tell us what are your thoughts on the question that we have today.
Yeah, I think listening to Karen there, I completely agree with what she said. The idea that young people are online, young people are looking for mental health support online, and actually it's down to us to make sure that the support they get is is correct and is like helpful to them, because young people are going to be accessing support. If they're going to access support anyway, young people are already accessing support online, and if we as professionals, as experts, don't meet young people where they're at online, then it leaves a vacuum for content creators and sources for who don't know what they're talking about to fill that. And then that's, I think, where the harm comes from. I have OCD, and I learned a lot about my own OCD from the digital world, from social media, from listening to other people talk about their OCD, more than I ever did by reading a book or um, by the doctors. So I know firsthand the impact that social media and the digital world can have on young people, um, and the way it has a power to reach young people who aren't ordinarily reached. And there's a subset of young people. It's not that it's either offline mental health support or online mental health support. It can either be both, which I'll speak about in a minute, or you can reach young people who wouldn't ordinarily get the support offline if online. So the digital world gives a great opportunity to reach those people. And from the young people we speak to all the time, they, like Karen said, they like AI because it is less judgmental. It is always there. They can access it whenever. However, I think where the danger comes in is AI isn't necessarily built as it is. Things like ChatGPT aren't built to be therapists. They're built to say the right answer. They're built to tell you that you've got the right idea. And if young people aren't educated in that beforehand and aren't aware that this is how AI works, AI is a mirror, AI is not a therapist, then I think that's where a risk can come in. So I think we absolutely have to look at the potential, because the digital world is there. Young people are on the digital world. We can reach so many people, but also we've got to look at the risks of what happens. What happens if it's dangerous actors? Like in real life, there's dangerous actors. Online, there's dangerous actors. So we've got to kind of get ahead of that. And lastly, I'd say there is an opportunity um, to work AI and online and real in-person support. I know social workers who work with AI to do note taking, but do the one-to-ones in person. I heard about a new app um, where the where one of my friends, he talks into it throughout the week, and then on a Saturday it makes a dashboard for his therapist, so that his therapist knows what's happened for the week. So I think there's really innovative ways we can explore, but I think throughout the whole thing we need to make sure that it's safe and that it's regulated, and then that way we can make the most of potential and mitigate any risks.
I mean, that's very intriguing. I know for a fact that I also use AI and it has become, in a way, a companion. For example, even in like Snapchat, even in like Instagram, WhatsApp, like you can actually chat with your chatbot and it feels like, let me disconnect. But also that can also be lonely sometimes. So I definitely agree. And like trying to help organize thoughts, I think a lot of in most cases, if you don't know what to do, you're always going to turn onto the AI. So it can be very challenging for us young people to know, okay, then what is it that we should do? Should we go off the internet or should we stay on the internet? So again, Patty, with you still, I'm going to ask you again, what should we be measuring if we want a complete picture of how digital life affects youth well-being? Because one way I am on it, I think we are joined by a global village through the digital platform, but also we can be disconnecting. So could you paint us a picture of what we should be measuring?
Yeah, like you say there, it's especially in the UK, there are statistics where often a lot of people think that the loneliest generation are old people, but the loneliest generation in the United Kingdom are young people, 16 to 25, which seems paradoxical. It doesn't make sense that we're the most connected, but actually we're the most lonely. So I think part of the issue that I see around how we measure the impact of the digital world on well-being is that we measure it in quite a simplistic way. We say a lot of people seem to believe that screen time equals bad and less screen time equals good. And actually, I think that's far from the case. It's far too simplistic. There's lots of different, there's hundreds of different ways, millions of different ways to use screen time. I always think of Minecraft, and if you're playing Minecraft with a friend, or a game with a friend, or you're FaceTiming your friend, then I think that this is a really good way to connect and um, to have that socializing, which you might not already have been able to access online. So I think that a key way we need to look at it is outcomes rather than simply outcomes rather than the process. And if that 6 hours spent online and using the digital tools is leading to better well-being, then I think that's fine. It isn't it's not enough that by default that 6 hours or however long spent online is bad for young people. And then linked to that, I think that it's very difficult now for a lot of people to separate the offline and the online. Young people now, a lot of young people have grown up in a world where they don't know the difference. That young people don't read newspapers; they get their news online. They follow sports teams online, and it's allowed us to connect with the wider world in a way that we'd never been able to before. So there's a lot of moves across the world to ban social media. Social media has been banned in the United Kingdom for under 16s. We were FlipGen were part of the kind of process arguing against that for the kind of reasons I'm talking about. But it's happening now, and I think that what we need to do, we need to measure it more holistically. We need to look at the fact that things online affect offline and things offline affect online. So instead of just looking at screen time, we need to look at the impact of the digital world on sleep and on friendship and these kind of measures, and actually look at this as a holistic issue that affects young people. This is about young people, it's not just about um, the digital world. And yeah, to kind of close, I'd say that's what we need to look at. We need to look at it, broaden it out, um, and see that this is the digital world can't be isolated away from the real world, and so we've got to um, look at solutions, but also look at the issue um, as one big whole.
That is amazing. You've mentioned something that really got to me, like the impact of the digital world on friendship. I see most of the times when you meet someone, the first thing you're going to ask for is their Instagram handle or something like that, without like really taking it personally to connect with them. But also, if you don't do that, then you're not going to see this person again. So you have to balance the two on how to stay connected. And that takes me to Karen. How do we balance? How do we measure the impact? And also from the psychological point of things, which kind of picture would you paint for us to measure the effects of the digital world on the youth?
So first, Patty, I totally agree with what you have just said, and also what you said on. We cannot like just discard screen time as a measure, but we need to stop treating it as the main measure of everything. Because if a person spend like 3 hours online, we still know very little about what's happening during those 3 hours and how this will affect how this person will um, how the relationship with others will be. I want to know what we are doing, what we are seeing, who are they interacting with, why did they go online, what they are expecting, what they are looking for, and how did they feel while they were there, and of course how they feel afterwards, because as we are talking about AI, for example, AI, it's really behaving like a human being, and it's creating bond, it's creator intimacy, and it is a machine that people are dealing with, and sometimes this uh, mm, bonds, these limits gets very difficult to understand, and as much as we just stay like the algorithm creates some walls, and it is the algorithm giving us like expanding those walls, or just creating spaces that we just meet people that believe the same things that we do believe, because when we spend too much time online, we start to believe that everybody just think like us, and they just uh, believe in the same things that we do, and that this is not good. We need to measure like exposure to harmful content, but we also need to measure, of course, that connection, belonging, social support, creativity, learning, and access to useful information. We should look at social comparison, coercion, as just was mentioned, like sleep, mood, relationships, and also how can we function using the online world, that and we cannot also make this separation about online world and not online world, because for everyone that was born inside the digital environment, this separation, it's not so clear. So we need to remember that a relationship goes in both directions. Digital experiences can affect mental health, but also a person's mental health also influences how they use the digital spaces. And young people who are lonely, depressed, or experiences discrimination may search for and respond to content that very different for another young person. So we always need to take the broad picture, to not just say about screen time, but the digital experience, it's very, very different for person to person.
I think that is so true, and like measuring exposure is also very very important. And like when you mentioned that, I kept asking myself how like companies are marketing, and also how influencers are actually marketing, and like the things they're shaping us to see. Should we be seeing content that is promoting a product, or should we be seeing content that is promoting something that shouldn't be promoted? And how safe is so safe in this situation? So I think those are very important reflections that you've shared. But I'll go back to Paddy to also, if you want something to add on that.
I think that Karen really summed it up. I think that that key component that you mentioned at the end, that actually screen time and the digital world can impact mental health, but mental health can impact the digital world, I think is really key. And um, we can't see all these issues in isolation. We have to see it as a whole. So I think that was a really, really good point.
That is great. For everyone in the chat, please put your questions there. We're going to be answering each and every question that you post. If you have also reflections, please feel free to share them. But we're now just going to be having this conversation. And also, I still look out for emojis. I think I need to change my emojis, so keep sending them, and then I get an inspiration. And now I'm going to ask again, um, especially when the digital world, participation also becomes very essential to how we shape the digital space and being online as well as young people. And sometimes we can participate, but is it meaningful participation? How do we shape the policies that digital companies and the digital world actually, puts in front of the young people? So I'm going to ask a question: what does meaningful youth participation in platform or policy design look like, especially in this digital era? I think, yeah, it would be Yeah, anyone who wants to take it first, it's kind of a lot of young people of us, when you talk about meaningful youth participation, we like raise our eyebrows and we're like, okay, I want to hear it. So, Karen, do you want to go first?
I
Yeah.
can go first. Thank you. Um, for me, like a meaningful participation, it begins much earlier than just asking young people whether they like something that adults have already designed. Young people, they should be involved when we define the problem, when we decided priorities, when we design possible solutions. So when we test them and when we evaluated whether they are actually working. And they need to see what happened with them, with their contribution, not just because if we ask young people for their opinions and they make all the decisions and we make all the decisions without explaining that what was accepted and what was not and why, that it's just consultation. It's not like meaningful participation, in my view. In the institute that we have in Brazil, Vitaleri, we have like a youth council and at Vertentes as well. And having young people close to our work constantly remind us that they notice things that we as adults and professionals that we do not necessarily notice, and they understand the language, the social dynamics, the emerging behaviors and the tensions of digital environments from inside those spaces. And sometimes they challenge our assumptions about what adults think young people need, because adults, and this is a terrible, that adults, and I include myself, that we do, we sometimes assumption, we have assumptions that we know what they need. And we see, of course, a similar things that we have this Rede Saúde Mental, that it's our mental health network. Through this initiative, we work with creators and digital platforms to improve, for example, the quality of mental health content that is available online. And not just to produce more mental health content, but need better, the digital environment need better content, safer content, and content that can communicate evidence responsibly and still speak the language of the young people. And we can see also this at WHO FIDES, and of course, everything that global mental health is doing. And these experiences made me think that we need to expand our understanding of participation, because young people should have a voice in policy and platform design, but creators are also part of this ecosystem. They often understand how health information is actually received, how they interpreted it and shared and transformed it within digital communities. And yeah, I will stop here, and please, Patty and Dawn and Vishwa, I
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And Vishwa came in when we are really talking about a very important question. And I want us to first take a pause and then we ask to introduce yourself, your name, the country you're from, and the organization, and also you can tell us your favorite emoji. So Vishwa, to you. I think the internet is not being so friendly today, everywhere. So I think as they prepare themselves to introduce, Paddy, do you want to um, take it on?
Yeah, and yeah, I really agree with what Karen said there. And I think outlining that difference between participation and meaningful participation and is huge. And it's I think it's quite easy to involve young people, have youth participation. You can easily bring young people into a room. Actually, to meaningfully engage with young people, to listen to young people and learn from young people, I think is a difficult step. and the step that you need to take to create a better digital world. Because I think ultimately this isn't about ticking a box, or isn't about including young people because they're nice to have involved, or because it's something that you think you should be doing. I think that including young people helps policies. It helps the design of the digital world, because young people have direct lived experience. Young people are the only people now who've grown up in a digital world in 2026 and know what it's like to experience this digital world. And so I think it's so important when we're putting policies in place, when we're building interventions for young people, that we actually include young people in the designing of them, because ultimately young people know what they want. Young people know the digital world that they want, and so including young people is really important. And so how can we get meaningful youth participation? I think what Karen said, absolutely. Including young people from the beginning, not just bolting them on the end, not just asking them after all the decisions are made. I'm 21 and I've been involved in campaigning since I was about 15, and I've been involved in lots of charities, lots of organizations where the decision that young people make is between two colors in the campaign materials rather than any of the actual campaign. And I got fed up with it. So FlipGen, who I work for now, we have 4 directors, 2 directors are young people. I'm a director. We're led by young people. So we are, as young people, we're the ones calling the shots. We're directing what FlipGen does. And then it's the adults who react and make changes based on that. I also think it's really key to create environments where young people can be meaningfully engaged with. I often go to events where young people are. We go to like Parliament and we speak to politicians, and and young people are taken from school to Parliament. But young people in that position, they say what they think they should say. They don't say what they actually believe. They usually are rehearsed by their teachers. Their teachers don't want to kind of get into trouble. They want the child to say something that might make them look good, but actually we want to create environments where young people can say what they really think, because there's no point in doing it if young people can't say what they really think. And so one of the things that we do is we create environments where young people are it's kind of their space. So we held a youth town hall, and we got um, we got like sweets and cupcakes and nice music, and we made young people feel really comfortable. And then we brought the minister for AI into that environment, and then young people, so it was a minister coming into their environment rather than the young people going into the minister's environment. And we got a Q&A going where we had 9-year-olds asking the minister questions like, who made you AI minister? Which these are questions that we take as read as adults, but actually, who made him AI minister? And everybody laughed, but actually the 9-year-old was actually wanting a response. And for me, this is what meaningful youth participation looks like. It's young people feeling comfortable to bring to the space whatever they feel. And that got a really good answer from the minister, because he was challenged. He then wasn't saying what he thought he was meant to say. So that's all to say that I think, and then finally, the whole process, it can't just be a one-off. We have to let young people know how their stories are being used, how their experiences are being used, um, to really create that engagement. Because otherwise, it can feel to young people like they've kind of been exploited. Their experiences are being used, and then they don't know where they're going. So continuing that engagement, I think, is really important.
Thank you so much. I think like it's very important. I always go like, if I'm going to participate in something, I really want to like leave a watermark, because rather than just like asking me what your opinion is on this, and then maybe they may even misspell my opinion. So I really want us to be more intentional. And I've seen the best kind of youth participation at GMHAN, where like they just throw the idea at you, and then you have to work around it and then make it nice and then make it your way. And I think that's a very good benchmark that we can leverage on as young people, and also work with people who meaningfully see us as contributors, not just participants. It's very, very, it's very important. We have questions that are flowing in. I feel like everyone is now getting interested in the conversation. So we're going to be answering some questions, but I'm going to start with one that directly aligns with what we are talking about, which is also still on meaningful influence. A question from Esther. How can we ensure young people have meaningful influence when co-designing safer digital spaces? Um, how can we ensure young people have meaningful influence when co-designing safer digital spaces? Karen, do you want to take up that on, or any of us can contribute to it? I think it's a very brilliant question.
Definitely, it's a very, very nice, important question. I think it it we when we create these spaces that the young and those like councils or people can talk what they feel and what they need. We need to know what we are going to do with the answers. It's not just creating spaces for people just to say choose to say that oh, we open this space for listen to everyone, but to not like direct, uh, not to know what to do with we are going to listen to. Uh, I think advocacy is here in the world for us to take those experiences and even to listen to young people. You are giving me this advice, what do you think I need to do with that? It's not just for us to have all the answers, but to create, really create these spaces where they can share their opinions and where we can change something. And also to explain to young people, for example, how those spaces are built. How can we really increase advocacy, or how can we increase the voices of young people on those spaces? And I think we need to work together, uh, to not only to listen, but also to create spaces that they can change somehow with the experiences of young people. And just for another thing, really, really quick, we also need to create these spaces that are diverse, because sometimes it's easier for us to listen to young people that are already engaged and they are like used to talk in institutional environments. And how can we listen for the ones that do not have that type of voice? And this is not I actually I do not have the perfect answer for that, but I just thinking how to create spaces for those that also do not know how to use or be on those spaces. Patty, I don't know if you agree with me. Just
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I think that final point around is around when we talk about meaningful participation is ensuring that the young people we consult with or we involve are really diverse and have a diverse range of experiences. Because again, if you only have a small group and it's not representative of young people as a whole, then you can take the wrong message and the wrong idea from that participation and learn the wrong things. I think it's difficult because I think part of the way you create or you ensure young people have meaningful influence when co-designing, say, for digital spaces, I think you ask young people how they want to be, how they want to participate. So for our youth town hall, we designed it as FlipGen. We designed it as young people. So we said, what would if we were 5 years younger, what would we want this to look like for young people? What would make us feel the most comfortable? So this is why we decided to get the food that we got and the environment that we got and the venue that we got, because we we designed it as young people for other young people. I also think that, like I said before, taking young people into environments out of where they're comfortable with, all of our facilitation is by other young people. So young people don't feel like they have to, they're not speaking to like a really senior politician or CEO on their own. they've got young people there to facilitate and to be that kind of that person in the middle. So I think when we're looking, I think including young people in the actual design, and then finally a big thing, and Zane mentioned it earlier, actually viewing young people as experts. Um, I think as soon as you view young people as experts, then the whole mentality shifts, and young people are kind of appreciated. Organizations will go out of their way to treat them as any other expert. And once you treat young people as experts, and you create a space where actually organizations and companies want to consult with young people rather than being made to, I think that's the important step. So I think that as a society we can ensure that young people are meaningfully consulted um, by raising the status of young people in this debate as equal to maybe an academic who's studied this for 20 years, or somebody who's worked for um, a technology company, because young people have something that they'll never have, and that's a direct experience.
I can't agree more. And I think we like a lot of time like use the internet to learn more. So you'll find that we actually know the latest news, the latest information that is out there compared, and we're speaking from a point of like knowing and contributing. But yeah, I agree with you. I think when we bring policymakers, ministers, and what, maybe we can start singing for them, baby shark. It will be interesting. There is another question in the chat from Emily. Hi, I'm Emily from Mental Health Foundation in the UK. I have a question about positive online communities. Have you seen any examples of online spaces that are a positive force for young people's well-being? And if so, what makes them work well? Thank you. So I think the question is to give some examples of safe online engagements and what makes them safe. I think also that is very a good point that we need to talk about, that what makes online spaces safe. If we say safe digital spaces, what does that mean? And what are some of the examples of that? Yeah.
Shall I can jump in first. Yeah. So if I use my own example of having OCD, I've found spaces online where um, I can connect with other young people with OCD or obsessive compulsive disorder, and also my campaigning. So all of my campaigning, um, I can reach people who I live in the countryside. I don't live near anybody. I live with in a neighborhood with a lot of older people who don't really understand me or other young people. So technology as a whole allows me to connect with other young people who've been through similar to me. And what makes that, I think that the connection is really great, but the ability to learn from other young people for I'm in different groups, and to connect with people who've been through similar experience. But I think the safety comes from and the success comes from knowing who's in the group, having that trust, having that ability to speak openly. I'm in kind of, I would say, more closed groups, not social media, because it can be very difficult to share on that. But I think that that community is really great. Another person, my friend, it maybe a community, not a community as such, but my friend has long COVID and she can't really leave the house. So the whole of the digital world is a community to her. It's her ability to connect with the outside world when she can't really leave the house. So um, I think that the those two are really my answer, and I think that the those spaces are successful because they're not replacing the in real life world that I have. I'm not choosing them over the in real life world, but they're benefiting me. They're an addition, and they're things that I wouldn't have been able to access without the online world. So it really adds to my life.
Thank you so much for sharing. I think that's very powerful. Let's also hear from Karen. What do you think?
Yeah, I totally agree. And sometimes we focus so much on the digital harm that we forget that online communities can also be highly protective. And we can see good examples in moderated peer community, support communities, and there are examples for LGBT communities, young people, and young people. And I think that what makes these spaces work is not simple that they are positive. They have some ingredients like a sense of belonging, appropriated moderation, and a psychological safety, and opportunities to contribute it, rather than only consume, and to have a credible information, and also clear boundaries around harmful behavior. So we what we do here in Brazil, sometimes we trained some communities and some creators or moderators to know how to identify that someone in their community that they need some help, and where to help those people to find the help that they need, and also to establish the limits of someone that it's all also offering help. And I truly believe that a good content can have a very, very good impact on the lives of the ones that are looking for those informations. And of course, that we cannot treat young people only as vulnerable people that need protection, because they can, sorry, they can support each other, and they can share lived experience, they can create content, and they can contribute to the norms of the community. And uh, I think we have very, very good examples. We can send talk a little bit more after.
Yeah, I think that's very, I think content also is another way we connect. There are campaigns like Kinda Chic, there are campaigns like Get Ready With Me, there are campaigns like Outfit of the Day, and then you get to see what other person are doing and things like that. And also there are more intentional spaces. For example, if you check the GMAN, like how we're doing our digital spaces, it's very evident that this is a space you can learn and connect. We just concluded a launch of Being Online, where young people are using digital technology to do art and then do an online exhibition. So there are safer spaces that we need to be a part of. But this is going to be still ongoing on GMAN website, so a lot of young people can still learn more. I want to ask another question, which we'll answer briefly, and I think it's very important because we don't normally consider it in the digital spaces, at least for what I know. The question is from Gafsha. How do global policy frameworks plan to reach young people with psychological disabilities living in rural villages and informal settlements who have zero internet, data, and digital devices? I think, yeah, we also need to really talk about disability inclusion in the digital world and how young people are being affected or are utilizing it, and what are some of the risks and opportunities, especially with young people with disabilities. Karen.
A very, very good point, important point, because
Mhm.
disability. Okay, now I'm not on it, right? Yeah. Because disability absolutely need to be part of this conversation, and we need to be careful when we do not take this into account, because sorry, I just lost my screen. Okay, because if
We can
someone
hear you. Yeah.
oh, thank you. Because if someone has no device, no data, and no um, connectivity, a digital mental health solution is simply not accessible solution for that person. So we need to design with a multiple pathways to care, including pathways that require no technology at all. For young people with psychosocial disabilities living in rural areas, This means bringing support into the places where they already are. Primary healthcare, community health workers, schools, community organizations, social services, and of course peer networks and organizations led with by people with disabilities. Um, Digital innovations should expand the number of doors of into care and not becoming the only door of care. Um, there's an implementation gap on this field, but I think the policy language is moving in the right direction. But the access on the ground is still very far from universal. And it's sad, but I think we can join forces and try to change this reality.
I think so, yeah. Buddy, do you wanna have a go?
I think this is not my area of expertise, and I think what Karen said, I want to learn more about this as well because I sit here as somebody who lives in the UK and I talk about from my perspective, but I think it's so important that we, like Karen mentioned, we find a way to engage all voices in this debate, um, whether you're disability, rural, wherever you live, because this is a truly worldwide issue, and there's not a single person who isn't affected by this kind of thing. So I think this is a place where I want to learn as well, and I'm not an expert.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think we all have to actually learn a lot more because there's a lot of opportunities, but also there is a lot of barriers and risks. So we keep learning every day, learn and relearn. Thank you so much. Keep the questions coming in, keep your feedback coming in. We really love to see it. And these are very amazing questions. And the Mental Health for All webinar is a series that keeps happening. And who knows, maybe the next time we have a session, we are answering your questions specifically. So keep them coming, keep them engaged, and tell a friend to tell a friend. So I have another question for the panelists. It's not a question, it's more of like a commitment or a feedback. And even to the people listening to us, you can answer this question in the chat. To ensure young people are shaping the decisions that affect their lives online, as a global community, we must, so you have to complete that sentence. What must we do to ensure young people are shaping the decisions that affect lives online? As a global community, we must, and I feel like this question goes to everyone. What must we do? What is that? Could be one thing, two things, please.
Okay, I can start.
Mhm.
Um, I think we must share the real power with them. We must build digital before access and make platforms accountable for creating safer spaces where young people can connect and they can thrive.
Ooh,
Yeah, I think if I to ensure young people are shaping the decisions that affect their lives online as a global community, we must view young people as experts and see them as absolutely essential to build um, platforms and to build interventions and to build policies that are durable and that actually have a meaningful impact on young people's lives.
super cool, super cool. I don't know. I think we must also make it a bit fun. We must create more intentional fields and communities. And also, like, kind of like, we must also put policies that allow for disconnection and, like, without promoting fear of missing out. So, I think those are very, very important things. If you lost your phone today, what is the level of comfortability would you be in at the moment? So, I think we also need to intentionally answer that question very well. Um, Giving Karen and Patty like one minute. What is that one take from the conversation, or what is that one shoot you would want to say unscripted?
Oh, I can quickly. I think my takeaway is that from me personally, I think, as I was saying, including young people is a necessity rather than something that's nice to have, and we need to. Um, we there's still a lot of work to do to work towards that, and um, I've seen lots of comments in the chat, and my takeaway personally is that I want to learn more and focus more and speak to incredible people like Karen and you, Zane, about how we can reach people who are really difficult to reach, but their voices are really, really important. So my takeaway is, and my commitment is to learn more about that and to do more to reach those people.
Oh,
Okay,
thank you so much.
very good, Patty. I think I have a lot of takeaways, but I will be very short because
Mhm.
as I'm like near my 50s, I think my takeaway is that it's very important that me as an adult that I give space for young people and that I understand how important it is to create those spaces and to listen to them, not just to listen, but to create with them, to have them inside all the conversations and inside the preparations and organizations of projects, because that maximum phrase that nothing about them without them, and I think I always need to remember myself that it's not because I'm older of than someone that it's in the same group that I have the the wise to know what's the best for them, and always take care of the vulnerabilities of everyone, and to acknowledge all the stories that come with different perspectives and different lives. And I think this is my takeaway. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think for me, what I take away is that we must always have connection by design. We have to design while connecting and ensuring that that is being beautiful. Thank you so much, everyone who has joined us today. We have had a very great conversation. I think, like on my side, I've got it very fulfilling. Thank you, Karin, for sharing your wisdoms. Thank you, Paddy, for sharing your wisdom. This one couldn't join us because of technical issues, but I'm very sure he's out there sending us like thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. This conversation is still going to be going on. It's continuing on the circle. If you haven't joined the circle is a global platform, digital platform that we use at GMHAN to connect with each other, to share knowledge, to collaborate, to just belong and convene. So if you haven't joined it, please join it now. You can find me there if you want to. I'll be there. And maybe you might find Karen and Paddy there and then keep asking the questions. And for all young people, we are the biggest PowerPoint. We are the biggest powerhouse. So everything is for us. Leaving no breadcrumbs. Thank you all. It's been lovely. And people who have asked questions, I really see them from Gillian, from Esther, from Aviwe, from Gafsha. Thank you all for, and Maria, thank you all for asking these questions. I think they shape the art of GMAN, and we will continue the conversations on the circle. Thank you, everyone. And wherever you're joining from, send us your last emoji. Send us your last emoji. We want to see that last emoji. Please, please look for that one you haven't sent before. Look for that one you haven't sent before and just send it. Like scroll on your phone and just send that one last emoji. But we really appreciate you and we cannot keep wait to still connect with you. There's more to come. And thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.